Dr. Lisa had seen everything in her 15 years as a children's doctor. Sick babies, worried parents, emergency calls in the middle of the night. She thought nothing could surprise her anymore. But the phone call that came at 3:47 on that cold Tuesday morning would change her life forever. The phone rang with that sharp, urgent sound that always made her heart skip. She grabbed it quickly, expecting another routine emergency. Maybe a fever, maybe a fall, maybe something worse. But what she heard on the other end was unlike anything she had ever experienced. The voice was strange, beautiful, but strange. It sounded like music and words mixed together, like someone was singing and talking at the same time. The English was perfect, but there was something different about the way each word was spoken. Something that made her skin tingle. "Please, human doctor," the voice said, and Lisa could hear desperation in every syllable. "My baby will not wake up. Your people know about these things. I have watched how you heal the sick. You must help me." Lisa sat up in bed, fully awake now. Her first thought was that this had to be some kind of joke. Maybe one of her medical school friends playing a prank. But something in that voice, something in the raw pain and fear she could hear, made her pause. "Who is this?" she asked, trying to sound professional despite being confused. "I am a mother," came the reply. "Nothing more, nothing less. My child needs help, and you are the only one who can provide it." The caller gave her an address. It was way out in the mountains, at least an hour's drive from the city. Every logical part of Lisa's brain screamed that this was crazy. She should hang up. She should go back to sleep. She should definitely not drive to some random location in the middle of the night based on a weird phone call. But she couldn't get that voice out of her head. The pain in it was real. She had heard that same desperate tone from hundreds of parents over the years, and she knew genuine fear when she heard it. 20 minutes later, Lisa was in her car, driving through the empty streets with her medical bag in the passenger seat. She had no idea what she was doing or why she was doing it. All she knew was that somewhere out there, a mother needed help with her sick child. The drive up into the mountains was dark and lonely. Her headlights cut through the black night, showing nothing but trees and empty road. She started to doubt herself more with every mile. What if this was some kind of trap? What if she was being incredibly stupid? But something kept pulling her forward. An instinct she had learned to trust over years of medical practice. The same instinct that had saved lives before. When her GPS said she had reached the address, Lisa found herself on a dirt road that seemed to lead nowhere. She parked her car and got out, looking around in confusion. There was no house here. No building of any kind, just a small clearing surrounded by tall trees. She was about to get back in her car and leave when she saw a figure standing at the edge of the clearing. At first glance, it looked like a person, tall, slender, standing perfectly still. But as Lisa got closer, her medical training kicked in, and she started noticing details that didn't make sense. The figure was too tall, too thin. The proportions were all wrong. And there was something about the way the moonlight seemed to move across their skin, like looking at water or oil. "You came," the figure said, and Lisa recognized the musical voice from the phone. "I was not certain you would." Lisa stopped walking. Every instinct told her to run. This was impossible. This couldn't be happening. But then she looked into the figure's eyes. They were large, larger than human eyes should be. But in them, Lisa saw something she recognized immediately. Something she had seen thousands of times in her career. A mother's love. A mother's fear. A mother's desperate hope that someone, anyone, could help her child. "My name is Kira," the figure said, the strange musical quality of her voice somehow making the simple name sound like a song. "I am what you might call, not from here. But I am a mother, just like the mothers you help every day." Lisa's rational mind was screaming. This was impossible. People like this didn't exist. But her heart, the part of her that had become a doctor to help children, was already stepping forward. "Where is your baby?" she heard herself ask. Kira turned and began walking deeper into the clearing. Lisa followed, her medical bag clutched tightly in her hand. As they walked, Kira began to explain, "My people, we travel between worlds. We explore, we learn, we try to understand the universe around us. But sometimes, things go wrong." They reached the center of the clearing, and Lisa gasped. There, partially hidden among some rocks and strange plants that definitely didn't belong. In these mountains was something that looked like a giant glowing egg. "My ship was damaged," Kira continued. "I was forced to land here to wait for rescue, but then my baby was born, and something is wrong." The glowing egg wasn't an egg at all, Lisa realized. It was some kind of medical pod, transparent on one side. And inside, she could see a small form. A baby. Not human, but unmistakably a baby. "She should have woken up days ago," Kira said, her voice breaking with emotion. "My people, our children, they become aware very quickly after birth. But she just lies there. She breathes, her heart beats, but she will not wake up." Lisa approached the pod slowly. Her medical training was warring with the impossibility of what she was seeing. But as she looked at the small figure inside, she saw something that made everything else fade away, a sick child, a child who needed help, and Lisa was a doctor. She had taken an oath to help the sick regardless of who they were or where they came from. "Tell me everything," she said, setting down her medical bag and rolling up her sleeves. "Tell me about your people. Tell me about how your children develop. Tell me everything you can." Kira looked at her with those large, strange eyes, and Lisa saw tears forming in them. Tears that looked just like human tears. "You will help?" Kira asked. "I'm going to try," Lisa said. "I don't understand any of this, but I'm going to try." As the first light of dawn began to creep over the mountains, a human doctor and an alien mother stood together beside a glowing medical pod, united by something that transcended species, planets, and everything else that should have divided them. The simple, powerful bond between those who care for children. Lisa knelt beside the glowing pod, her hands trembling slightly as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. The baby inside looked so peaceful, so perfect, yet something was clearly wrong. Her medical instincts kicked in, pushing aside the impossibility of the situation. "How long has she been like this?" Lisa asked, her voice steady despite the chaos in her mind. Kira moved closer, her strange, shimmering skin catching the early morning light. "7 of your days. In our world, children wake up and start learning within 3 days. She should be looking at me, responding to my voice, beginning to understand the world around her." Lisa studied the baby through the transparent wall of the pod. The little one was beautiful in a way that made her heart ache. Her features were delicate, almost translucent, with tiny fingers that seemed to glow with their own soft light. But her eyes remained closed, and there was no movement except for the gentle rise and fall of her chest. "What's her name?" Lisa asked softly. "Neela," Kira replied, and the way she said it sounded like wind chimes. "It means first light in our language. I chose it because she was born just as your sun was rising." Lisa placed her hand gently on the warm surface of the pod. Immediately, she felt something strange. It was as if the pod was alive, pulsing with energy that somehow connected her to the baby inside. Numbers and patterns began appearing in her mind, and somehow, impossibly, she understood them. Heart rate, brain activity, oxygen levels. The information flowed into her consciousness as clearly as if she were reading a computer screen. But the readings were unlike anything in human medicine. "This is incredible," Lisa whispered. "I can actually see her vital signs. How is this possible?" Kira's large eyes showed surprise. "You can read the bio patterns?" "That is unusual," Most beings cannot interface with our technology without training. Lisa didn't have time to think about the implications. She was 2, focused on what the readings were telling her. The baby's body was perfectly healthy, but her brain patterns were wrong. They showed the basic functions needed for life, but none of the complex activity that indicated consciousness or awareness. "It's like she's stuck in a deep sleep," Lisa said, thinking out loud. In human babies, we sometimes see this when there's been trauma during birth, or when certain neural pathways don't develop properly. She looked up at Kira. "Tell me about your pregnancy. Was everything normal? Any complications?" Kira's expression grew troubled. "Everything was perfect until my ship was damaged. I was traveling through what you call space when we hit some kind of energy storm. The ship's systems failed, and I had to make an emergency landing here." "How far along were you when that happened?" "About halfway through our gestation period. The crash damaged many of our biosupport systems. I had to adapt our technology to work with Earth's electromagnetic field, your gravity, your atmosphere. Everything was different from what my body expected." Lisa nodded, pieces of a puzzle starting to come together in her mind. In human development, the nervous system is incredibly sensitive to environmental changes. If your daughter was developing in one environment and then suddenly switched to another, you think the change affected her neural development? Kira asked, hope creeping into her voice. "It's possible," Lisa said carefully, "but I need to understand more about how your people's brains work. How does consciousness normally develop in your species?" Kira settled beside the pod, her long limbs folding gracefully. "Our children are born with what you might call a neural blueprint. Their minds are designed to connect with specific energy frequencies that exist on our world. These frequencies help activate the pathways needed for awareness and learning, like a key turning in a lock," Lisa said, understanding beginning to dawn. "Yes, exactly. But Earth doesn't have these frequencies. I've been trying to recreate them, using the pod systems, but..." Kira's voice trailed off in frustration. Lisa studied the baby again, her mind racing. "What if we're approaching this wrong? Instead of trying to recreate your world's conditions, what if we adapt to Earth's?" "I don't understand. Human babies develop consciousness differently than yours do. We don't rely on external frequencies. Our neural pathways activate through different stimuli: touch, sound, visual patterns, emotional connections." Lisa paused, an idea forming. "What if Neela's brain is trying to follow human development patterns because that's what Earth's environment supports?" Kira's eyes widened. "You mean she might be adapting to become more like a human child?" "Not exactly human, but maybe her consciousness is trying to develop using Earth's rules instead of your people's rules." Lisa felt excitement building. "If that's true, then we need to stimulate her the way we would stimulate a human baby who wasn't waking up properly." She opened her medical bag and pulled out a small flashlight. "In human medicine, we use various stimuli to encourage neural activity. Light patterns, sounds, even gentle physical contact." "Will it hurt her?" Kira asked, worry clear in her voice. "No," Lisa assured her. "These are the same techniques I use with human babies every day. But I need you to monitor her biopatterns and tell me if anything seems wrong." Lisa began with simple light patterns, shining the flashlight in gentle, rhythmic pulses near the baby's closed eyes. At first, there was no response. But then, slowly, the readings that flowed into Lisa's mind began to change. Her brain activity is increasing, Kira said excitedly. "The neural pathways are showing more complex patterns." Encouraged, Lisa tried different approaches. She hummed softly, tapped gentle rhythms on the pod's surface, and even pressed her palm against the warm material while thinking calming thoughts. With each new stimulus, baby Neela's responses grew stronger. Her tiny fingers began to twitch. Her breathing pattern changed. Most importantly, her brain activity started showing the kind of organized patterns that indicated developing consciousness. "It's working," Lisa breathed. "She's starting to respond." Kira was trembling with hope and fear. "What happens now?" "Now we keep going," Lisa said firmly. "We're going to wake up your daughter, Kira. I don't care if she's human or alien or something in between. She's a baby who needs help, and that's what I do." As the morning sun climbed higher in the sky, the human doctor and alien mother worked together, combining two completely different medical traditions in their desperate attempt to bring one small life into full awareness. And deep inside the glowing pod, baby Neela's eyelids began to flutter. The flutter of baby Neela's eyelids sent a jolt of hope through both women. Lisa felt her heart racing as she watched the tiny movements, while Kira pressed her hands against the pod, her whole body trembling with anticipation. "Keep going," Kira whispered. "Please keep going." Lisa nodded and continued her gentle stimulation techniques. She had treated hundreds of babies with consciousness disorders, but this was unlike anything she had ever experienced. Every move she made seemed to create ripples of change in the baby's neural patterns. "Tell me more about your people," Lisa said as she worked. "How do your children normally learn? What do they respond to?" Kira's voice took on a softer tone as she spoke about her world. "Our young ones connect with us through something you might call mind-touching. We share thoughts, emotions, memories. A parent's love flows directly into the child's developing consciousness." Lisa paused her light therapy. "You mean like telepathy?" "Similar, but deeper. When a child awakens, the first thing they feel is their mother's love surrounding them like a warm blanket. It guides them, teaches them, helps them understand who they are." Something clicked in Lisa's mind. "Kira, have you been trying to connect with Neela this way?" "I've tried every day since she was born," Kira replied sadly. "But there's no response. It's like shouting into an empty room." Lisa studied the readings flowing through her consciousness. The baby's brain activity was increasing, but it seemed scattered, unfocused, like a radio trying to tune into a station but only getting static. "What if the problem isn't that she can't hear you?" Lisa said slowly. "What if she's hearing too much?" Kira looked confused. "I don't understand. On your world, babies develop in a controlled environment with specific frequencies and patterns. But here on Earth, Neela is surrounded by millions of different energy sources. Radio waves, cell phone signals, electrical fields from power lines, even the natural electromagnetic field of the planet itself." Lisa gestured around them. Her developing brain might be trying to process all of this information at once. She could be overwhelmed, unable to filter out what's important from all the background noise. "Like being in a room where everyone is talking at the same time," Kira said, understanding dawning in her large eyes. "Exactly. And if she can't focus on your mental connection because of all the interference, her consciousness might not be developing properly." Lisa thought for a moment, then began adjusting her approach. Instead of just providing stimulation, she started creating patterns designed to help organize and focus the baby's responses. In human medicine, we sometimes use what's called sensory integration therapy, she explained as she worked. "We help babies learn to process information by giving them clear, organized input instead of random stimulation." She began creating steady, rhythmic patterns with her light while humming a simple melody. At the same time, she coached Kira on how to focus her attempts at mental connection. "Don't try to share everything at once," Lisa advised. "Just think about one simple emotion, love, pure, simple love for your daughter." Kira closed her eyes and placed both hands on the pod. Lisa could almost feel the intensity of the alien mother's concentration as she focused all her energy on projecting a single, clear message to her child. The results were immediate. The chaotic patterns in Neela's brain activity began to organize themselves into more coherent waves. Her tiny fingers curled and uncurled. Her breathing became deeper and more regular. "It's working," Lisa said excitedly. She's starting to process information in organized patterns instead of random chaos. But the work was exhausting for both of them. Hours passed as they maintained their careful combination of human medical technique and alien emotional connection. Lisa's hands ached from holding the flashlight steady, and Kira was visibly drained from the intense mental effort. "I need to understand more," Lisa said during a brief rest. "What happens when children on your world first wake up? What's the experience like for them?" Kira smiled, the first genuinely happy expression Lisa had seen from her. "It's beautiful. They open their eyes and immediately feel the presence of their family. They know they are loved, they know they are safe, they know they belong. The fear and confusion that your human babies sometimes experience, we don't have that." "Because they're connected to you from the moment of awareness," Lisa said. "Yes. They wake up already knowing they are part of something larger than themselves." Lisa felt a pang of sadness. "Neela is waking up alone, isn't she? Without that connection, without that immediate sense of belonging." "I fear so," Kira whispered. "What if she wakes up and doesn't know who I am? What if she's frightened and I can't comfort her?" It was such a universal fear, Lisa realized. Every mother worried about their child's first moments of consciousness, whether they were human or alien. The desire to protect, to comfort, to be there for those crucial early experiences, it was the same across species. "Then we make sure she's not alone," Lisa said firmly. "We'll be here together when she wakes up. She'll feel your love and my care at the same time. Maybe that combination of alien and human connection is exactly what she needs." They resumed their work with renewed determination. Lisa continued her careful patterns of light and sound while Kira projected steady waves of maternal love. The baby's responses grew stronger with each passing hour. "Her eyes are moving more," Lisa observed. "She's entering the lighter stages of consciousness. In humans, this usually means they're getting ready to wake up." Kira's voice was tight with emotion. "How much longer?" "I don't know," Lisa admitted. "But she's definitely fighting to wake up now. We just need to keep guiding her toward full awareness." As the afternoon sun reached its peak, casting long shadows across the mountain clearing, both women felt the change beginning. The patterns flowing through the biopod became more complex and organized. Baby Neela's movements became more purposeful. "She's coming back to us," Lisa said softly. "Your daughter is coming back to us." And for the first time since this impossible journey began, both the human doctor and the alien mother allowed themselves to believe that their combined efforts might actually save this precious little life. The moment came without warning. 1 second, Lisa was adjusting her light patterns while Kira sent gentle waves of love toward her daughter. The next second, everything changed. Baby Neela's eyes opened, not the slow, gradual awakening Lisa had expected, but a sudden, complete awareness that took both women by surprise. Those large, beautiful eyes looked directly at her mother, and Lisa felt her breath catch in her throat. "Kira," she whispered, barely able to speak. "Look!" Kira's reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Tears began streaming down her face as she pressed both hands against the pod's surface. The connection she had been trying to establish for days suddenly snapped into place like a puzzle piece finding its home. "She sees me," Kira sobbed. "She knows me." Lisa watched in amazement as mother and daughter gazed at each other through the transparent wall. Even though she couldn't hear or feel their mental connection, she could see it happening. The baby's tiny face lit up with recognition and joy, while Kira's entire body seemed to glow with happiness. But Lisa's medical training kept her focused on the readings flowing through her mind. What she saw there made her gasp with wonder. "This is incredible," she breathed. "Her brain activity isn't just normal now. It's beyond anything I've ever seen. It's like she's not just awake, she's super awake." The patterns were unlike anything in human medicine. Where human babies showed simple, basic consciousness at first, Neela's mind was displaying complex, organized thought processes that would normally take months to develop. "Is that normal for your people?" Lisa asked. Kira wiped her tears and smiled. "Yes and no. The awakening is always rapid, but Neela's mind seems especially bright. I think your world, your different energy patterns, they've changed her somehow, made her stronger." As if responding to her mother's words, baby Neela turned her attention to Lisa. Those large, intelligent eyes studied the human doctor with curiosity, rather than fear. Lisa felt a strange tingling in her mind, almost like someone was gently knocking on a door. "She's trying to connect with you too," Kira said with surprise. That's never happened before. Our children usually only bond with their own kind at first." Lisa leaned closer to the pod, speaking softly to the baby. "Hello, little one. I'm Lisa. I helped your mama take care of you." The response was immediate. Neela's tiny face broke into what could only be described as a smile, and Lisa felt a wave of warmth and gratitude wash over her mind. It wasn't the full mental connection that Kira shared with her daughter, but it was definitely something. "She likes you," Kira laughed, her joy infectious. "She's trying to say thank you." But their celebration was interrupted by a change in the pod itself. The gentle blue glow that had surrounded Neela began to pulse with new colors, greens and purples and golds that seemed to dance across the baby's skin. "What's happening?" Lisa asked, concerned. Kira's expression grew serious. "The awakening process is sending out signals, energy patterns that my people will recognize. They'll know that a child has achieved consciousness. Is that bad?" "Not bad. But—" Kira paused, looking conflicted. "It means they'll come for us soon. My people have been searching for me since my ship crashed. Now they'll be able to find me." Lisa felt her heart sink. She had known this moment would come, but she wasn't prepared for how much it would hurt. In just one day, she had become attached to both Kira and baby Neela. The thought of losing them felt like losing family. "How long do we have?" she asked. "Not long. Maybe a few hours at most." Kira's voice was heavy with sadness. "I want you to know, Lisa, that what you've done here, my people have stories about this, about beings from different worlds who help each other despite having no reason to do so. We call them bridge builders." "I just did what any doctor would do," Lisa said, though she knew that wasn't entirely true. Most doctors would never have believed any of this was real. "No," Kira said firmly. "You did what a healer does. You saw a sick child and you helped, regardless of where she came from or what she was. That's rare in any species." The pod's colors continued to pulse and shift, creating patterns that seemed to tell a story. Lisa found herself mesmerized by the display, and she realized that she could somehow understand what the colors meant. They spoke of birth and growth, of challenges overcome and love triumphant. "The pod is recording everything," Kira explained. "Every moment of Neela's awakening, every technique you used, every emotion we shared. It will become part of our people's medical knowledge." "You mean other alien children might benefit from what we learned here?" "Not just alien children. My people traveled to many worlds, meet many species. What you've taught us about adapting consciousness development to different environments, it could help children across the galaxy." Lisa felt overwhelmed by the implications. Her simple desire to help one sick baby might end up helping children she would never meet, on worlds she couldn't even imagine. Baby Neela made a small sound, drawing both women's attention back to her. She was looking directly at Lisa again, and this time the mental connection felt stronger. Images flashed through Lisa's mind, not words but concepts and feelings. Gratitude, yes, but also something deeper. Recognition, understanding, and strangely, a sense of promise. as if the baby was trying to tell her that this wasn't really goodbye. "She's remarkable," Lisa whispered. "Even for your species, she's special, isn't she?" Kira nodded, pride shining in her eyes. "She's going to grow up knowing that there are good people throughout the universe. People who will help a stranger's child simply because it's the right thing to do. That knowledge will shape who she becomes." As if to prove her mother's point, Neela reached one tiny hand toward the pod's wall, pressing her palm against the transparent surface. Lisa instinctively placed her own hand on the outside, matching the baby's position. The moment their hands aligned, even with the pod's wall between them, Lisa felt a surge of connection unlike anything she had ever experienced. For just an instant, she saw the world through alien eyes, felt emotions that had no human equivalent, and understood love in a way that transcended species entirely. When the feeling faded, both women were crying. "Whatever happens next," Lisa said, her voice shaking with emotion, "I want you to know that meeting you both has changed my life forever." "Ours too," Kira replied. "Ours too." In the distance, a strange humming sound began to fill the air, growing steadily stronger. The rescue ship was coming. The humming grew louder, and Lisa felt a strange pressure in the air, like the moment before a thunderstorm. But instead of dark clouds, the sky above them began to shimmer and bend, as if reality itself was being gently folded. "They're here," Kira said, her voice mixing joy with sorrow. Lisa looked up and saw something that made her question everything she thought she knew about physics. The air above the clearing was moving in ways that shouldn't be possible, creating patterns that hurt her eyes when she tried to focus on them directly. "Will I be able to see the ship?" she asked. "Probably not clearly," Kira replied. "Our vessels exist partially outside your dimension. Your human eyes aren't designed to process that kind of visual information." As if to prove her point, Lisa caught glimpses of something massive hovering above them, curves and angles that seemed to exist and not exist at the same time. The effect was dizzying, so she focused instead on Kira and baby Neela. The pod was responding to the ship's presence, its colors becoming brighter and more complex. Neela seemed fascinated by the light show, her large eyes tracking the patterns, with obvious intelligence. "She knows we're going home," Kira said softly. "She can feel our people's presence." Lisa felt a stab of loss so sharp it almost brought her to her knees. "I'm going to miss her so much," she whispered. "I know I only met her today, but she's already part of your heart," Kira finished. "I understand. That's how it should be. Children belong to everyone who loves them, regardless of species." A beam of soft light descended from the invisible ship, and 3 figures began to materialize within it. Like Kira, they were tall and slender with that same shimmering skin, but their bearing was formal, official. They spoke to Kira in their musical language, their voices creating harmonies that made Lisa think of wind through crystal chimes. Even though she couldn't understand the words, she could hear the concern and relief in their tones. Kira responded, gesturing toward Lisa and baby Neela. Lisa caught her own name several times in the flowing conversation, along with what sounded like words of explanation and gratitude. One of the newcomers, who seemed to be the leader, approached Lisa directly. When they spoke, their words came out in careful English. "Human healer," they said, their voice carrying the same musical quality as Kira's. "Our scanner records show what you have accomplished here. This is knowledge of great value." "I just did what I could," Lisa replied, feeling suddenly shy in the presence of these beings who had traveled between stars. "You did much more than that," the leader continued. "You bridged the gap between 2 completely different forms of consciousness development. The techniques you combined with Kira's abilities, they could help countless children across many worlds." Another member of the group approached the pod where Neela lay contentedly watching the proceedings. They studied the readings for a long moment, then spoke to Kira in surprised tones. "What are they saying?" Lisa asked. Kira's expression was one of wonder. They're saying that Neela's neural development is unlike anything they've seen before. The combination of our natural awakening process and your human stimulation techniques has created new pathways in her brain. She's not just conscious, she's developed abilities that neither of our species typically has. What kind of abilities? The ability to connect with minds that are very different from her own, Kira explained. Like yours. Most of our people can only form mental bonds with others of our species. But Neela, she'll be able to understand and communicate with all kinds of beings. The leader nodded approvingly. She will become what we call a universal connector, someone who can help different species understand each other. This is a rare and precious gift. Lisa felt a surge of pride and amazement. Baby Neela wasn't just healthy. She was going to grow up to be something special, someone who could build bridges between worlds just like the bridge that had been built between her mother and Lisa. There is something else, the leader said to Lisa. A gift we would like to offer you if you will accept it. What kind of gift? The leader extended one long, elegant hand. The knowledge you gained today about consciousness development, about neural pathways, about the deeper connections between all living minds. We can help you keep it and use it in your work with human children. Lisa hesitated. How? A simple touch. We will enhance the neural connections you formed while working with our technology. You will understand things about the developing mind that no human doctor has ever known. You will be able to help children in ways that will seem impossible. To your colleagues, it was an incredible offer, but Lisa worried about the implications. Will I be able to explain how I know these things? You will find ways, the leader assured her. The knowledge will come to you as intuition, as sudden insights, as connections you make that others miss. Your human colleagues will simply think, you are exceptionally gifted. Lisa looked at baby Neela, who was watching her with those intelligent eyes. The baby seemed to nod slightly, as if encouraging her to accept. Will it hurt? Lisa asked. Not at all. You will simply remember more clearly everything that happened here today and understand more deeply what it all means. Lisa took the offered hand. The touch was warm and tingling, like gentle electricity. For a moment, her mind filled with images and concepts that were almost too complex to process. Then everything settled into place, and she felt the new knowledge organizing itself in her memory. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you, the leader replied. You have given us far more than we have given you. The time for farewell had come. Kira carefully lifted Neela from the pod, cradling her daughter against her chest. The baby looked tiny in her mother's arms, but her eyes were bright and alert. I wish you could come with us, Kira said to Lisa. I wish we had more time. Maybe we'll meet again someday, Lisa replied, though she knew how unlikely that was. Maybe we will, Kira agreed. The universe is full of surprises. Baby Neela reached one small hand toward Lisa, and Lisa gently touched the tiny fingers with her own. Once again, she felt that incredible connection, that sense of love and gratitude that needed no words. Grow up strong, little one, Lisa whispered. Remember that there are people throughout the universe who care about you. As the alien family prepared to leave, the leader turned back to Lisa one final time. What you did here will not be forgotten, they said. Among our people there are stories that will be told for generations about the human healer who saved a child she had never met, simply because it was the right thing to do. The beam of light enveloped them, and slowly they began to fade from view. The last thing Lisa saw was baby Neela's face, her large eyes fixed on Lisa with an expression that seemed to say, "Thank you and goodbye." Then they were gone, and Lisa was alone in the mountain clearing. Years later, Dr. Lisa became famous throughout the medical world for her revolutionary treatments for childhood consciousness disorders. Her success rate was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. She published papers on neural development that changed how doctors everywhere understood the awakening mind. But she never spoke about that October morning in the mountains. She never mentioned the alien mother who trusted her with her most precious gift, or the baby whose awakening had taught her more about consciousness than all her years of medical school. Sometimes, though, when she was working with a particularly difficult case, Lisa would pause and look up at the stars, and she would wonder about Neela, who would be growing up somewhere among those distant lights, learning to build bridges between worlds just as she had learned to build bridges between species. The knowledge that had been shared that day lived on in every child Lisa helped, in every breakthrough she made, in every family she brought back together. It was a legacy that stretched across the stars, proof that love and compassion could transcend any boundary, even the vast emptiness between worlds.